just a guess. That's what we're gonna try. These are a lot thicker than I thought they were. Just shy of 1/4 inch. Heavy. I thought they were just mild plates. Here, Law. I don't care. Share with your sister. What? Share with your sister. Oh, look at that, just in case you didn't have any tools. Alright, wow. Those are worth it right there. Oh! Now here I was worried about bringing my own tools. Booyah. Jeez. That's gonna be fun. Glad I brought the book. Well, I'm gonna go do some reading. Stay tuned. I meant to record putting the base together, but I just didn't. It ended up getting hot and I didn't mess with it. I just put it together. It's not hard. It really is just sides, front, and back. Make sure it's loose and then tighten it down once you get everything on. It's pretty easy to follow in the book. This shot is just me showing that I did get the flywheel straight after some persuasion. You gotta loosen all 4 bolts, and I'll explain that into the next little piece, which is just a bit of a review of where I'm at. Alright, back at it. So it's been a couple weeks, really just because time-wise I've been tinkering with it on the weekends with work and whatnot, but yeah, so I come out on the weekend, spend a couple hours, and then head home. So I'd say all in all I've probably got 10 hours in going through this thing, and that I don't think is normal, to be honest with you. It's not necessarily because I'm not mechanically inclined or because I couldn't figure it out or anything like that. It's literally because this machine was quirky enough from the factory that it required quite a bit of persuasion, and by persuasion I mean my 8-pound sledge. The flywheel in this, I don't know if you can see it right here, was set far enough back where it was throwing the pulley, which I had to order a new one because I broke it hitting it with a hammer, which was expected. I didn't have any scrap lumber to keep it protected, but it wouldn't have mattered because I really had to swing my hammer to get this thing to move. So there's 4 set screws in here, and there's good documentation of this online already, but no real videos. So the set screws are here, and mine is relatively new. I think if I'm reading the hieroglyphics right on the front there, it's I think it was manufactured in September of 17. and I got it, and here it is, January of 18. But it's been out here for a little bit. But anyway, so the set screws, there's 4 of them, here, here, and here, on both bearings in these pillow bearings. There's collars here that keep the shaft from moving fore and aft. And when they set them, it looks like they put the shaft in, get it close, and they probably drill it sitting right here on the machine. Because they're drilled and tapped, and there's a little bit of a recess that's drilled into the shaft so that the set screw sits down in it, you know, and it keeps it from moving. Well, I noticed it was already off. It was off. I got 3 of the set screws off. The last one, the 4th, was, I don't know what they used for Loctite, but it was good stuff. It turned to dust when I got it out, but I ended up having to drill it out, so I've only got 3 set screws in it now. But so I got the set screws out. I loosened all the bolts here, the pillow bearings. Basically used a crowbar in here to you know, get it as close, the flywheel as close in the housing left and right as I could. And I got it pretty close. It's good. I had to whack this thing so hard that I actually mushroomed out the end of the shaft to move that thing forward, but it finally broke free in the pillow bearings. And I probably messed up the races. Probably not going to get much life out of this thing, but it's all I could do to get it straight. We'll see. You know, I'm going to grease the heck out of it and keep my fingers crossed, but either way, I wasn't going to send it back. I wasn't going to drive it back up to Tennessee from Circle G where I ordered it, and so I did what I had to do to get it back together. Ended up costing me $90 to buy another pulley, which is fine. That was my fault, but anyway, a little demonstration of how quiet this thing is once it's adjusted. The scratching is live oak leaves in there. No clunks, no bangs. It moves with literally 2 fingers on it. 200-pound flywheel, so you know, I don't feel any grinding or anything like that. It seems like it's okay. But just, you know, word to the wise, you'll see it scraping inside on the back of the fans if you loosen these bolts. And, you know, do it, just take your time with it, and you can get it pretty straight. And then once you do, you know, make sure you're to the point where your pulleys are flush with a straight edge right here. And I'll show you quick. You know, this is a press fit, but you know, I haven't even tightened it yet, and it's already where it should be. You know, and I don't think it'll be bad to take in this rear pulley if I have to. But this, I'm not too worried about beating it on a half an inch or something. I'll get it to set back where it was, snug those up with some Loctite in them, and call it a day. But that's what it took to get the pulley straight. I really did have to whack on it after I drilled out that last set screw. But it you know, it goes pretty good. And I could not see how I was going to get that anvil within 30 thousandths. I'll see if I can't show you of the cutting blade, but once I adjusted it, there's quite a bit of movement in that anvil. And I don't know if the GoPro's quality enough to show you, but you can see the knife. That one might not be as good as the other one. Can't remember which one was closer, but that's a little bit more than 30 thousandths. Probably close to double that, but I really don't trust tightening it more. We'll see how it runs. Because over on this side, and you can wiggle it back and forth left and right, but as you can see, it's kind of crunching leaves. That's close enough to me. Because I do think there's going to be enough play once you get it running for a little while that they will move. But and a lot of guys say, oh, take the drum off, it's easier to adjust it. I didn't have any problems. Do yourself a favor, go out and get a set of Allen. I'll see if I got a set in my toolbox over here. set of 3/8 metric Allen adapters like that, you know, and get you a long extension. I forgot to bring one. I've got one that's 24 inches, or bring a couple of them. So if you had a long enough extension, you could just stick it through there without even moving the drum. But what I did, I just take these springs off, and it'll stick up like that without the springs, no problem. And I was able to adjust it like that. But I wanted to show my progress, you know, putting this thing together right off of the pallet, because there wasn't a lot of documentation, just a lot of guys online, you know, Tractor by Net, stuff like that, on the forums. And they're all spot on, they're all right, but I'm a visual guy myself, and I would have liked to have seen this before. The newer models don't have the wobble drive. They've got a really cheap U-joint on the impeller, or the feeder. A little worm gear inside. This thing was full when I got it, and full by full, I mean they've got a sight here, and it was at the line, you know. But I took it off and fill it to the top. That's what I do. Down south, I don't worry too much about expansion and stuff, and it's got a hole in it where it can, you know, relieve pressure. I don't want to overfill it, but you know, I kind of will for a little while. Let it break in, and then I'll just make sure it's half and half. But yeah, that's how all that works. You know, tighten it up. This is just a really cheap, cheesy little setup, but I'm still glad I bought the Jinma. I think it'll be a good machine. It's the only mechanical feeder out there for under $2,000, you know, so I didn't want a hydraulic setup. I don't have a lot to do here, but it'll get it done, I think. And they changed a few things that you'll see on this one different from what I saw online. You can flip this around either way you want it to eject, left or right. I put it this way. They kind of changed the chute. It just flops around. There's nothing to adjust it here. I may weld something on, I'm not sure. It may work fine the way it is, I don't know, but I honestly hate that. I might just leave it up like that. If it works fine, throw the thing away, I don't know. And it's kind of nice to deflect it down if you wanted to, but it's just friction. It just seems dumb. Maybe I'll get it where I want it and just weld it in place or something, I don't know. But there's a lot of bad design here, but a lot of ingenuity at the same time, so I won't drone on too much longer. But the one thing I am going to do, you can see how this leans where the 3-point bolts up, and that really is horrible. If you look, they could have just designed it so that it went underneath or in here, you know. They didn't. There's no reason that can't be part of this. Just bring this I-beam out, box it in, and put a hole in it. Done. You know, it's 800 pounds. It doesn't need a 3/4 inch plate. That's not doing anything more than this will. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'll probably loosen the bolts, get it straight, and just weld all that crap together. Just because I'm that anal, I don't want to be out running this thing and have a bolt break and have it stuck. I don't think it'll break during running. I think during operation it'll be fine. But I do think, if, you know, being a guy that I had 30 acres up north on the East Coast, and you take this back in the woods on your trails, you got some rocks and it's jerking around, them little bolts, some crappy, I don't even want to call them grade 5. They're Chinese junk. All the hardware is crap. You'd be lucky if you didn't break those 2 bolts. That's just a little bit of my opinion. We'll see how she runs. I'll do a couple more videos, and hopefully, you know, it turns out okay. I didn't get a pin for this with it either. I had a long square drive, you know, deck screw bit that I stuck on there with a piece of wire that they used to bind it to the shipping container. I just threw it in there quick to hold it up while I work on it. I'll probably go to Tractor Supply and get a real pin for it, but that works for now. I don't think this is going to be the safest machine, but that's a good long ways in there. You know you keep your hands out of the thing. I think it'll be a pretty good machine.
Something I forgot to mention at this point in the video, it was a lot easier to get the flywheel to move back in the chassis towards the opening of the chute by wrapping a ratchet strap around that tree and then going down into the chute and putting the other end around the opening in the flywheel. It just put a nice constant pressure, and then while I was able to hit it, it was moving forward for me a lot easier doing that.
Well, I'm back again pretty quick. Just a word to the wise, you get anything from Jinma, inspect it, because I wasted a trip out here to put it together. It's a crack. That's the new pulley I ordered. And I know it's centered on the bolt hole, but yeah, I didn't do that. I hadn't even had them finger tight yet. I just put a little Loctite in it. Started getting it finger tight so I could put it on. You know, it's a press fit this way, and then the bolts draw it in and keep it from loosening. Looks like they cracked it when they drilled and tapped them holes. So like, these are cheap casted pulleys. They're bad. You know, I broke the first one hitting it with a hammer, which I knew I would. But I kind of ran out of options. And I knew Circle G sold everything you could buy for these things, and this is what they sent me as a replacement. Back to the drawing board.